Day of Judgment, and I think this is the fourth lesson on the minor signs. Last lesson we talked about some of the signs of the splitting of the moon and the appearance of the Khawarij and the prediction of the Prophet ﷺ in the battle of Siffin. We talked about the fire from Hijaz, and we talked about the hadith of Jibril and how knowledge is going to be taken away. And one of the signs of the Day of Judgment is that the Prophet ﷺ said in hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he says, "Badiru bil a'mali fitnan." He says, be prompt in doing good deeds before you are overtaken. Before you are overtaken by this fitna. كقطع الليل بظلا يصبح الرجل مؤمنا ويمسي كافرا ويمسي مؤمنا ويصبح كافرا. He says that this fitna is gonna come, and then a believer will be a believer in the morning, but at night he will be disbeliever, and a disbeliever will be a disbeliever in the morning, but at night he will be a believer. So this is the Prophet ﷺ. He is telling us that the fitna is gonna come. Badirul a'mal fitna. He's telling us to do good deeds, do as much good deeds as you can before the fitna hits you. And there's a lot of types of fitna, right? And when a fitna comes, then you're stuck. Sometimes, we're living good, we're healthy, and everything like that, and then the fitna comes, we get sick. Then we can't do anything. We can't go work, we can't pray, we can't do anything. So this is the fitna that the Prophet ﷺ is telling us. He said, Badirul a'mal. Do as much good deeds as possible before you are hit with the fitna. Okay? So the fitna, what does fitna mean? Fitna is the plural for fitna. And it means al-imtihan wal-ikhtibar, right? A test or a trial. This is what fitna means, a test or a trial. So it also ما يعرض للمسلمين من بلايا والمحن في الأمور دينه ودنياه. It is what a believer faces, a Muslim, he faces from tests and trials, from the worldly trials to the religious affairs. So you're going to be tested with your worldly stuff, and you're going to be tested with religious affairs. This is what the fitna is about. And the fitna, there's two types of fitna that Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah he mentions. He mentions that the fitna to shubahat, and the fitna to shubahat wa fitna to shahawat. Fitna to shubahat is the fitna of doubts and suspicion in your deen. Doubts and suspicion in your deen. Whereas fitna to shahawat is your fitna of desires. So the more dangerous one, the more dangerous fitna is the fitna of shubahat, your doubts in your deen. This is more dangerous because the fitna of trial of like shahwat, the fitna of desires. All of us, we have different types of these desires. Some, men loves women. Women loves money, shopping and things. These are fitness of desire. And we know because of shahwat, the desire, we know these things are haram. Some people they have the fitna of drinking. So this is his fitna. Some people, they have the fitna of zina. This is his fitna. This fitna is bad, but the fitna of shahwat is like, it's wrong. People commit zina, they know it's wrong, but it's their fitna, it's their trial that they have to defeat. Fitna shahwat is a desire that they have to defeat, just like gays right now. Gays is a sickness, is a disease, being gay. So it's a desire that a person has to fight it off. Just like a person who loves to drink, a person, his fitna is to be gay. So he has to fight that desire and stop. Zina, same thing. He loves zina. He has to fight that desire to stop zina. So this is the fitna. Okay, this fitna shahwat, the desires, as fitna shahwat, shubahat, the doubts in your deen. This is the more dangerous fitna, because a person thinks that he is doing correctly, but he is misguided. Like during the time when we were talking about Uthman radiallahu anh, the fights between Uthman and the Khawarij, and the people wanted to kill Uthman, they thought they were on the right path. This is the fitna of shahawat, of shubahat. They thought they were on the right path. They killed Uthman. And same people that killed Ali radiallahu anh, they thought they was on the right path. Muawiyah and Ali, they were fighting each other. Both of them thought they were on the right path. This is the fitna, the shubahats of doubts. And this is why it's so dangerous, because some people think that they are on the right path. The fitna of bid'ah. When a person does bid'ah, they think they're doing the right thing. But it's not according to the Quran and the Sunnah. But they think they're doing the right thing, so they try to push it more and do it more and spread it more, and then this bid'ah spreads. So the fitna of shahwat is more dangerous, as Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah mentions, than the fitna of desires. So why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends us down trials? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Anfal, فَلْيَمِيزَ اللَّهُ الْخَبِيثَ مِنَ الطَّيِّبِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us tests. He tests us in this dunya as a person, personally, and He tests us as a jama'ah, as a group, for the whole purpose of distinguishing the good and the bad. Who are the good and who are the bad? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like for example, I see like a lot of people in France, right? In France, they made the hijab haram. The government doesn't let the women go to wear the hijab to school. So this is a fitna for the people in France. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to see who's good, who's bad. The good people, they're going to continue to fight to wear hijab. They don't care what happens to them. But the bad people, they will use that as an excuse. Say, hey, the government doesn't let us wear hijab. Okay, we'll take it off. They already take it off anyways. But they're just using that as an excuse. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here, He's trying to separate the good people, those who truly believes, from those who doesn't really believe. So this is the whole reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us fitna. And majority of the fitna is caused by the lack of ignorance, the lack of knowledge. This is where fitna comes from. When a person understands fitna, then he will understand what he is going through, and he will pass this test. So the Prophet ﷺ said, among the signs of the Day of Judgment is that the trials will come. Fitna will come, and it will cause confusions. It will cause doubts, and the truth from the false. Right? It will make your iman weak, because you're confused. And the person will be a believer in the morning, and then at night he'll be a disbeliever. Or in the night he's a disbeliever, but in the morning he's a believer. So these are the fitna that the Prophet ﷺ, he tells about. And there's the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr, he says, every prophet before me is under the obligation to guide his follower to what he knew, what was good for them, and to warn them of the evil. This is the duty of the prophets. They're guiding you to what's good and to warn them of the evil. As for this ummah, he says, it will have a sound state, and in its early existence, in the early stages of Islam, Islam is strong, it is growing. Like back in the Tabi'een days, those were the golden years where Islam spread all over the world. So the Prophet ﷺ, he's telling, in the early existence stage of Islam, Islam is strong. But in the last phases of its existence, Islam, Islam will become weak. It will be faced with many trials and things that you do not recognize. So there will be tremendous trials, one after another, as the Prophet ﷺ said, and to each the believer will say, this is it. This trial is my destruction. Then this trial will pass, and then another calamity will hit him. He will be faced with another fitna, and he will say, oh man, this is it. This is going to destroy me. And then another one will come, and he will say, this is it. This is going to destroy me. Because fitna, there is just going to come one after another once the fitna starts. once the trial starts. So this is what the Prophet ﷺ, he is telling us. As for there will be so many trials that we see today that's going on. We have personal trials and things like this. The trials that it affects us, and it desensitizes us. It affects us, it desensitizes, and we won't realize it anymore. We get so caught up in things and that we don't realize it. Like, for example, this homosexuality thing. In the beginning, when people were talking about it, everybody hated it. Everybody was talking against it. But now what happens? Oh, that's okay. It's the gays again. Okay, now everybody is becoming desensitized. Everybody is slowly accepting. And once you slowly accept, you start to adopt it. And then once you adopt, you get into it. And this is what happened to our children, So this fitna comes in different forms. The trials of money, interest, bribery, buying and selling haram, eating haram, wearing haram, killing and injustice, power hungry people, leaders and trying to be power hungry, and children going astray. Mothers are losing their children, fathers are losing their children. These are all the fitnas that are going to happen in this time of trial. And as the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned, the Prophet ﷺ said in hadith Anas ibn Malik, he says, يَأْتِي عَلَى النَّاسِ زَمَانٍ صَابِرُ فِيهِمْ عَلَى دِينِهِ كَقَابِضِ الْجَمَرِ. He says, there's going to come a time when a person who is patient on his religion, he is holding on to his religion as much as he can. It's like a person holding like a hard charcoal, a hot charcoal. It's hard. If somebody was to barbecue and we pick up a charcoal, we drop it right away, right? We can't handle it, because we'll drop it right away. And this is what the Prophet is telling us. It's going to be hard to hold on your deen just like this. So he's telling us to be patient. He's telling us to be patient. So patient that the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith by Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, يُوشِكُ أَن يَكُونَ خَيْرَ الْمَالِ الْمُسْلِمِ غَنَمًا يَتْبِعُهُ بِهَا شَعْفَ الْجِبَالِ. He says, there's going to come a time. There's going to come a time when the best property, your best thing that you own is going to be the sheep, your cattle. You take it up to the top of the mountains. You take it up to the mountains where there's rainfall, and then you grow your cattle and you grow your food. Because if you go up to the mountain, you're safe from the fitna in the city. So the Prophet ﷺ said, this is a safe spot. When you go to the mountain, you take your cattle and you raise your animals and you grow your own food. This is a safe because you stay away from the fitna of the city. So the Prophet ﷺ, he's telling us this. There's going to be a time when people are going to do this because it's scary, and we are seeing it right now. We are seeing this stuff right now. It's like people don't want to live in the city anymore. When they have the deen, it's hard for them to live in their deen unless they have a purpose to be in the city, as in giving da'wah or things like that. So during the some of the fitness of the trials, some of the signs of the Day of Judgment is there's going to be a lot of deceiving and lying. People are like deceiving and lying. In the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there will come a time that the people will be in years of treachery, and when the liar will be regarded as an honest person, and the honest person, he will be regarded as a liar. He'll be regarded as a liar, and the traitor will be regarded as a faithful person, and the faithful person, he'll be regarded as a traitor. And then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the Ruwaybidah will decide the matters. So they asked, Ya Rasulullah, what is a Ruwaybidah? He says, it is who they said, who are the Ruwaybidah? The Ruwaybidah are those men who are weak, who doesn't know anything, but they seek to take control of affairs. This is the problem that we have now. You see board members, you see things like these. They don't know too much, but they want to be board members. They want to take the affair. They want to control the community, but they don't go to school. They're uneducated and everything, but they still want to take control. These are the people, the Ruwaybida, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and you see this everywhere you go now. People who the Prophet ﷺ said in anything, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people who has knowledge if you do not know. If you do not know about a medicine, you ask the pharmacist. If you don't know how about things like that, you ask doctor. If you want to know about cars and airplanes, you ask an engineer. You ask those people who are the haqq, the people who has the rights for it. But now people who don't have any rights at all, they want to be the leaders. They want control because they want to say me, me, me. I did it, I did it, I did it. And this is one of the signs of the day of judgment, as the Prophet ﷺ. Another sign of the day of judgment is that women will be acting like men and men will be acting like women. The Prophet ﷺ says, لعن الله ورسول لعن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم مخنثين من الرجال ومترجلات من النساء. The Prophet ﷺ cursed those men who are effeminate, those men who try to be like women. What do we see now? And the women who try to be like men. What do we see now? It's everywhere. People dressed up like men, dressed up like women, and women dressed up like men. Men wearing tight stuff and things like this. These are all the signs of the day of judgment that is here, and these are just the minor signs. Another sign of the day of judgment is the Prophet ﷺ said, women will be clothed. They'll be clothed, but they're actually naked. The Prophet ﷺ he says, "An-nisa'u kasiyatun 'ariyat." He says, women, they're going to be clothed, but they're naked, as we see now today. What is the hijab of a Muslim woman? A Muslim woman, she wears the hijab. It covers her whole body. Her clothing should not be tight, where you should not see the form of the body. This is the hijab of the woman. But now you see women, they're wearing tight pants. You can see every shape and form. This is pretty much naked. You see every shape and form of their body. And the Prophet ﷺ cursed these people. Women, they're wearing tight jeans. Women, they're wearing tight spandex everywhere. You can see every form of their body. This is the Prophet ﷺ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will curse these people. Will curse these people. They're clothed. Yes, they're clothed. They're wearing clothes. Yes. But they're still naked because you see everything. So this is what's going on in the community. You walk around these days, you see this thing, even from the Muslim sisters now. And they think it is okay. The Prophet ﷺ, he says the consequences of sin. He says, you may be afflicted by 5 things. He says, God forbid that you should live to see them. God forbid you should live to see them. If fornication should become widespread, if fornication, zina will become widespread, you should realize that this has never happened without a disease befalling on the people. A disease befalling on the people. Because of zina, there's going to be diseases befalling on people. So as you see now, fornication is everywhere. There's so much types of disease. And the Prophet ﷺ also says, when people begin to cheat in weighing out goods, when they're buying and they're selling and they're cheating, you'll realize that this has never happened without a drought or a famine befalling on the people. So if people are doing business and they're cheating, they're robbing people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to cause a drought to come. And when people start, he says, if people should withhold zakat, you should realize that this has never happened without the rain being stopped from falling. If it were not for animals, the Prophet ﷺ said, you would never have rain again. So because of the animals and things like that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sending the rain. This is when people stop giving zakat. And when he says, if people should break their covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, you should realize that this has never happened without Allah sending an enemy against them to take some of their possession by force. So if a person, he breaks the covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, you should realize that this has never happened, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and then until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends an enemy to take them. You look at what's happened in China, brothers and sisters. They were the enemy of Islam. They broke the covenant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They stopped the Muslims from reading the Quran. They made them drink wine. They don't let them pray. They don't let them do that. They try to change the Quran. But now you look at them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends them His army. They got this big disease. And it's spreading real fast. Why? Because they have broke the covenant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And these are the things that happen. If a leader do not govern according to the book of Allah, this is another one. If the leaders do not govern according to the book of Allah, you should realize that this has never happened without Allah making them into groups and making them fight each other. This is what we see right now all over the world. There is no Muslim country right now. They claim that they're Muslims. Because if they were Muslims, they would all get together and work together and try to rise Islam. But around there, there's no Muslim countries. They claim to be Muslims. They claim to be an Islamic country, but they're not. It's all about my pride, my country, my language, my thing, and they fight for money. So what happened now, they're just fighting. They're just arguing with each other because they're not doing it. They're not leading for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala according to the Quran and the Sunnah. This is exactly what we are seeing as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam prophesies. All the countries in the world, Pakistan, India, Saudi Arabia, they're all fighting each other. They're scrambling, trying to make money. They claim that they're a Muslim country, but if they were Muslims, they would be helping each other. Countries that are our neighbors, they are fighting each other for more land. Because they're not following the Quran, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. So these are some of the trials that we see now, that's going on. The Prophet ﷺ said in hadith, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he says, لا تقوم الساعة حتى تقاتل الترك صغار الأعين حمر الوجوه ظلف الأنوف كأن وجوههم مجان مطرقة ولا تقوم الساعة حتى تقاتل قوما نعاليهم الشعب. The Prophet ﷺ said, the hour, the day of judgment will not be established, and this is something that's happened already. This happened a while back. The Prophet ﷺ said, the hour will be not established until you fight with the Turks. The people with small eyes, red face and flat noses. Their faces will look like shields coated with leather. And the hour will not be established till you fight with people whose shoes are made of hair. So the scholars, they mention that the Turks, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, a Turk, not talking about the Turkish people of the country of Turkey right now, because the Turkish people, their origin was Eastern, Asia. Their country, their origin came from around the China area and everything. These were the Turkish people originally came from. So around the Central Asia, Western China. So here the scholars, they noted that the Turks are considered the Mongols. The Prophet ﷺ said, the hour will not come until you fight the Mongols. And the Mongols, they were a nomadic tribe in northern China. They came from northern China. They shared the mountain area and from China and Siberia and everything. This is where the Mongols originally came out from. And they were led by one of the greatest rulers ever. There's only 2 leaders in the whole history of the world that fought and never lost. Every battle they went to, they won. Khalid ibn Walid and Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan was from the Mongols. He never lost a battle, just like Khalid ibn Walid never lost a battle. So the Prophet ﷺ, he says, there's going to come a time when the Muslims, they're going to fight the Turks, the Mongols. And this was known to happen in the history of Islam. The Muslims, they fought the Mongols. Genghis Khan, he was born 1162 and he died 1227. So he was the leader or the emperor of this dynasty, right? He came from as we mentioned, Siberia, northern China. He came and he started fighting the Muslims. He annihilated the Muslims, entering the Eastern Asia, Western China Asia. He came into the city of Bukhara, right now known as Uzbekistan, and a little bit Samarkand. He annihilated the Muslims. When he came into the city of Bukhara, all the Muslims he locked in the masjid and he cut off all their heads. Remember, back then they did not have bombs. They did not have guns. This was all with swords. He would cut off all their heads and he would place them, build them like pyramids all over. Over 800,000 people died during this. Muslims, 800,000 Muslims died in Bukhara and Samarkand. This is a lot with swords. Now with guns, mashallah, now guns and bombs, one bomb you can kill that much. But this is everybody. Imagine right now, they just come and cut off all our heads right now. He came and he annihilated the Muslims so much that some of the scholars just that there was about 50,000 Mongols. And for every Mongol, killed about 25 people. 25 people. So this Genghis Khan, he came and he annihilated the Muslims. And then afterwards, after Genghis Khan, when he died, the people that came after him started taking over. They started taking over, and Genghis Khan, he died, and his successor, Odagay Khan, he took over, and then Mongke Khan took over. So then they started moving west. They started moving west towards Baghdad. In year 1258, that was the destruction of Baghdad. Baghdad back then was the biggest city in the world, the brightest city in the world. It was the golden age for the Muslims. They're the first ones to build hospitals. They're the first Beit al-Wisdom, the House of Wisdom. The first library was built. They had millions of books in this library, the biggest library in the world. People from all over the world came to Baghdad to learn from the Muslims. The best doctors were the best engineers. All the people, the best were the Muslims. It was the golden age of Islam. But Genghis Khan came. One of his successor, the generals, Hulagu Khan, he came in 1258. He entered Baghdad and he annihilated. It is said that he killed over almost 1 million people in Baghdad. Remember, it wasn't bombs, it was with swords and everything like that. Hulagu Khan, the successor, one of the generals of Genghis Khan. So he annihilated the Muslim forces. He killed the Muslims. At that time, the Muslims was under the Abbasi Empire, right? The Khalifa of the Abbasi. It was, the Khalifa and then the four Khulafa and then the Umayyad start taking over. And then the Abbasi Empire took over. So at this time, the Abbasi Empire the leader was Mu'tasim. He was the Khalifa at that time. Mu'tasim. So Hulagu Khan, he came into Baghdad, he killed everybody. And he called the leader, he called the Khalifa, Mu'tasim. He says, come here and bring all your ulama. He brought over 300 scholars, great scholars, and Halagu Khan killed them, all the scholars, and he left Mu'tasim. He brought his children and he killed Mu'tasim's children in front of him. And then he says, where's all your gold that you've been keeping? You know, in the city, they had a place where they kept all the gold for the Abbasid Empire. They had kept it all for like 500 years. He says, where's all the gold that you've been keeping? So what he did was he locked them in a room. He didn't feed Mu'tasim. So Mu'tasim got hungry. And then he called on Halagu Khan for food. So Halagu, he came and brought him a plate of gold. He says, eat it. Eat this gold. He said, what am I going to do with it? He says, this is why your people, this is from the Mongols, they were very intelligent and strategic and everything like that. He says, this is why your people won't fight for you. You have all this gold. What are you hoarding all this gold for? Why didn't you use this gold to buy the people, to buy armies and everything, to fix your city, instead of holding it like this? So he's telling him, why did you use this gold to feed your people, to help your people and everything, so they could be your followers? But rather you hoard all this gold, so eat it. So Halagu Khan forced him to eat it, but he didn't kill him. Halagu Khan, what he did, how did he kill Mu'tasim? He rolled him up in a carpet. And he had horses trample all over him until he died. This is a sign of disrespect. SubhanAllah. Disrespect. And at that time, SubhanAllah, they killed so much. The Euphrates River right now is one of the biggest rivers, as we will talk about soon, is one of the biggest rivers. When they killed the Muslim, that river was filled with blood. It was all red because so many people died. The river was all red. And then after he killed the Muslims, you know, Halagu Khan, dead bodies was everywhere. So the stench was smelling so bad. What happened is that he left. He went back to the Persia area. But then he ordered to burn all the books in the Bayt al-Wisdom, the Bayt al-Hikmah, the library that they had. Over 1 million books, they didn't burn, they just threw it in the river. The river became, instead of blood, it became all black because of all the ink. This is how many books that were missing. All types of books, Islamic books, from scholars that hasn't been recorded. Doctor books on medicine, books on engineer, all these books were thrown into the river, wasted. So this is the destruction of the Prophet, as the Prophet ﷺ said, "La taqumu as-sa'a hatta tuqatiluna Turk," until you fight the Turk, the Mongols, as the ulama has mentioned. This is the sign of the Day of Judgment. So they fought the Mongols, but all that, subhanAllah, even though they went through all that, good came out of it. Good came out of it. You see, إِنَّمَا الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. With hardships comes good. It is said the Mongols, they have 4 empires. 4 empires. The Golden Horde, that empire, the Mongols, that part of the dynasty was around the Russia and the Caucasus region, the Black Sea region. This was controlled by the Golden Horde of the Mongols. And it was controlled by the general named Berke Khan. Berke Khan. He was the first Mongol to accept Islam. So there was 4 dynasties. So that one, the Golden Horde, and the other one was Il-Khanats, the Il-Khanats. And this group, they took care of the Persian area, like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Iran. This is the Persian area. So the Il-Khanats, and they was controlled by Halagu Khan. Halagu Khan was the one that came and destroyed Baghdad. Later on, when Halagu Khan died, his followers, his name was Tikodur Khan, he became a Muslim. So now we got the Golden Horde dynasty of the Mongols became Muslim, and the Ilkhanate dynasty became Muslim. And the third one that was the Chagatai Khan. They were from the eastern, more east of China and Uzbekistan and everything like this. They took over that. They became Muslims. The only group of the four that didn't become Muslims were the Yuan dynasty, which is in China right now. They're the only group of the Mongols that didn't become Muslims. Everybody became Muslims after this work because they started learning the truth about Islam and things like that. So even after all this horrible events happened, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it good. إِنَّمَا الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. So this is one of the signs of the Day of Judgment. These are one of the signs that already happened, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. Another sign of the Day of Judgment is that time will go by fast and there will be a lot of killing and greediness, as the Prophet ﷺ, he says, يَتَقَارَبَ الزَّمَانِ يَنْفَضُّ الْعَمَلِ وَيُلْقَى الشُّحَ وَيُكْثِرُ الْحَجِّ وَقَالُوا مَا الْحَرْجِ قَالَ الْقَتْلِ. He says the time will pass rapidly. The time will not come until time will pass rapidly. Time will go by fast. And good deeds will decrease. And miser people will become greedy. It will be cast in the hearts of people. They will be stingy. And in harj, you will see harj. They ask, what is harj, Ya Rasulullah? He says harj is murdering and killing. You will see a lot of murdering and killing as back then. So time will pass by fast. Some ulama mentioned that this has already came through because the barakah, meaning the barakah. You know, sometimes you see there's a lot of barakah. You do something, and then with that time that you have, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in it. Bin Baz, rahimahullah, he says time will pass by quick is what we see now. Before, from Mecca to Medina, it would take 2 weeks to travel, but now you could travel on an airplane 30 minutes. You're done. This is what Bin Baz, rahimahullah, he translates that as. The time will go quick. From one place to another, you get there real quick. So as Bin Baz, rahimahullah, he mentioned. Other ulamas will mention, literally means time will pass by quick. You know how we were, you know, oh man, it's a week already. Man, it was just last week, it was just January. Now it's February. We're almost ending February. So time is passing by fast. So all this, they're all correct. Because this is all the signs of the Day of Judgment. Time will run by quick. And he says that, you know, people will start being more greedy. Miser. They're holding their money. They're scared to give sadaqah and everything. These are signs. And the haraj. People will be killing people everywhere. And all these things are happening now. So those are the signs that remember we said the minor signs of the Day of Judgment are signs that happened already, or signs that are happening now, and then signs that will come that hasn't happened yet. So let's get into, you know, to the signs that hasn't happened yet. That hasn't happened, and that falls into 3 categories. Those signs that we haven't seen yet or hasn't happened yet, signs that will appear before the major signs. Signs that before these big major signs like Dajjal and everything, these signs will come. Signs that will appear during the time of the major signs, like during the time of Isa alayhi salam will come. These signs will come. These signs of the Day of Judgment. And signs that will appear after the major signs. Like the time when Isa will come, what happens after Isa will come, and we will get into it, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. One of the signs is that the Prophet ﷺ said, a lot of women, less men. There will be many more women and less men. لا تقوم الساعة, he said, the time will not come until يكثر النساء حتى يكون للخمسين امرأة. He says the time will not come until there will be plenty of women and less men. He said up to 50. For every man there will be 50 women. For every man there will be 50 women. And Allah Ta'ala alam, Allah knows best, but the ulama, they said the time is not here yet. That's when the malahim, that's when there's going to be the great war. The reason for that is that when they're at war, the men are the ones to go to fight. So when the men goes to fight, they die, and then there's only women left. So the Prophet ﷺ said there will be 50 men, 50 women to 1 man, because all these men are going to die because of the great war. Allahu A'lam, this is what the ulama describe. This is the time, because right now it's pretty much maybe 4 to 1, I think, the ratio. 4 girls to 1 guy, I think, if you look at the statistics. There's 4 girls to 1 guy. It's not 50 to 1, you know, we're not even close. But they said, the ulama says, when the battles start happening, you don't know, maybe World War III. When battles start happening, the men, they go out to war. And they go out to war, they die. So the ones that don't go out to war are the women. They stay at home, so it's going to be 50 to 1. So there will be more men than women. Another sign is that a man from the Qahtan will appear. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقوم الساعة حتى يخرج رجل من قحطان يسوق الناس بأصاه. He says, the hour will not come until a man from Qahtan, he comes driving people with his stick. The ulamas, they mention that the Qahtan, it's a place in the southern part of the region of the Arabian Peninsula. You know, the southern, like Iraq and everything like that. I mean, Yemen and things like that. So he says, a man from Qahtan will come from this. And this man, he will have power. You know, just like a sheep herder, they said that just like a sheep herder, he uses his stick to guide his sheep, right? So this man, he's the man from Qahtan, he's using his stick, you know, a kinaya. He's saying that he has power. People will follow him and he will lead people. So some ulama, they mention that this man will come, some scholars said during the time of the Mahdi. But the majority of the scholars, they say he will come during the time of when Isa alayhi salam comes, this man of Qahtan. Another sign that we haven't seen is that Arabia will be turned luscious and green. Again, the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقوم الساعة حتى تعود الأرض الأرض مروجا وأنهارا. He says, the time will not come until Arabia becomes, the river will flow in Arabia and everything will become luscious and green again like it was before. Before everything, Arabia was green and had a river flowing. So this is a sign of the day of judgment, is that when Arabia will become green and will have rivers and everything. Wallahu ta'ala when that's going to be, but it could be the time after Isa comes. Because when we will talk about when we get to the signs of days, and after Isa comes, there will be peace on earth. There will be so much money, and the snakes won't even bite children, and wolves won't even fight each other. This is the time when everything is so prosperous. So this could be the time, Allah Ta'ala alam, as the ulama mentioned, when the time of Isa comes. Also, there's going to be a time, another sign is when the Mongols, the mountain of gold. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقوم الساعة حتى يحسر الفرات عن جبل من ذهب يقتتل عليه فيقتل من كل 199 فيقول كل رجل منه لعلي أنا أكون هذا وأنجو. The Prophet ﷺ said, the hour will not come before the Euphrates River. The Euphrates River will dry up and it will unveil a mountain of gold. It will unveil a mountain of gold for which people will fight for this gold. But 90 out of 99, out of 100 people, 99 will die. Only one will get it. So everybody out of 100 people, 99 will die, only one will get it. And everybody's gonna say, maybe I'm that one, I'm that one. So they're fighting, they're trying to get this gold. We haven't seen this yet. You know, in history it hasn't showed that this mountain of gold hasn't appeared. You know, but if you look at like NASA and Google and everything, you know, NASA, they're seeing like the Euphrates River right now is drying up. It's drying up and it's drying up very fast. Some of the scientists they said the reason why it's drying up because the Euphrates River, it starts from Turkey and it goes down to Syria and into Iraq, and then it comes out in the Persian Gulf. So in Turkey, what they're doing, they're the ones that controlling the dams from up top. So they control the dams, and so depending what they do, so this is what some of the science are saying, is that Turkish people, they're controlling the dams, and and because of that, the Euphrates River is drying up. So the Euphrates River is the longest river in Western Asia. It's about 1,740 miles long, and it's from Turkey. It rises from Turkey and it goes down to Syria, and then Iraq, and then the Persian Gulf. In this hadith, it mentions the river will dry up, and a mountain of gold will appear. Right, will appear, and people will fight for this gold. Everybody, when they see gold, they see things free. Everybody's fighting, and just because it's free, they're fighting. They don't know. Some people, they don't know what they're fighting for. They're just fighting, because they see a big rush. So people are going to be fighting. So out of 100 people, only one is going to win. 99 will die from this fight trying to get this gold. And that one person, everybody's going to say, I'm that one that's going to win. I'm the one that's going to win. And then he dies. I'm the one that's win. Then he dies. I'm the one. So out of 100 people, 99 people will die. So as we mentioned, historically, we haven't seen the mountain of gold. So perhaps it could come soon. It could come during time of Mahdi, or time of or things like that. But the Prophet ﷺ predicted to be, some people, they have made ta'wil. They have made ta'wil, and they made an explanation to it. And they said this hadith is not really saying mountain. It doesn't really mean mountain of gold, but it really means oil. The oil that people found in Arabia. This is what some so-called knowledgeable people are saying. It's not gold that they're finding in Iraq, because that's where Euphrates is, oil. So if you see right now, since the 80s, Iraq, they've been fighting. How many people died because of this oil? How many people have died because of this oil? So they're not saying it's coming from the ground and everything. They're not saying it's really actually gold. It's oil. And they said, there's a lot of ta'wil. They said the dollar right now is actually originally gold. Right? The dollar originally is gold. So now the petrodollar, all these other assumptions that they have, they said that this mountain of gold is not actually the mountain of gold, it is actually the oil. They may have a case, but we have to take the hadith literally, because as they said, حمل الألفاظ الشارع على ظاهرها. Anything that the Sharia provides, you have to follow it according to its text, unless there's something that proves it. So we can't be doing ta'wil, we can't be changing or thinking this. So the scholar says this is going to happen. The Euphrates, the river, is going to dry up, and there's going to be a mountain of gold. And a mountain, the mountain is a surface. A surface, they said, it can't be oil, because oil is underground. Oil is underground. Whereas the mountain is a surface that comes up, is a hill, surface that rises above the surface of the earth. This is what a mountain is. But the hadith, it says a mountain of gold. But if you're talking about this is not gold, it's oil. Oil is underground. So this is how they refute those who says this is actually oil, because mountain is above the surface of the earth. And Wallahu a'lam, when will it come? Before the Mahdi or during Isa alayhi salam, or we never know. But it will come. It will come that there's going to be a mountain of gold, and people are going to be fighting for it. Another sign of the Day of Judgment is a sign that will happen later on. The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, and the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam قال يخرب الكعبة ذو سويقتين من الحبشة. He says the Prophet ﷺ said, ذو سويقتين, a person with lean legs, small tiny legs, will come and demolish the Kaaba. This person from Habasha, the Prophet ﷺ said, a person from Habasha, Ethiopia, Abyssinia area, there will come a time where they're a group of people, okay? And he's going to be led by a person with small legs. In the hadith by Abdullah ibn Amr, the Prophet ﷺ said, Utruku al-Habasha. Leave the Abyssinians. Leave them alone. Utruku al-Habasha. Ma tarakukum. Leave them alone as long as they leave you alone. The hadith is in Abu Dawood. Utruku al-Habasha ma tarakukum. Leave the people of Habasha alone as long as they leave you alone. فإنه لا يستخرج كنز الكعبة إلا ذو زواقتين من الحبشة. He said that there's gonna be a man who comes from this group with thin legs. He is gonna take the treasures from under the Kaaba. So they know that there's treasures under the Kaaba. We don't know what it is, but there's stuff under the Kaaba, treasures. So this group from Habasha, there's Abyssinian, from the Abyssinian Ethiopia area. They're gonna come and is led by a person with thin legs, small legs. He's gonna pick the Kaaba little by little, one brick at a time. Take it until the Kaaba is destroyed, and then they will take the treasures that's under the Kaaba. What's under there? Allahu Ta'ala Alam. But the Prophet ﷺ said he's going to yastakhrij al-kanz al-Kaaba. He's going to come and take the kanz, the treasures of the Kaaba. So the Prophet the Prophet ﷺ, he said the person as if a black person with thin legs, you know, he's going to take a hajaran, one brick at a time. They're going to break down the Kaaba. So this is the time after Isa alayhi salam. After Isa alayhi salam, and we will get into it more when we get into the major signs and talk about Isa alayhi salam. So they will come and they will destroy the Kaaba. And then during that time, the Quran will be lifted from the earth. No more Quran. No verse, no ayat. If you memorize it, there's going to be nobody. The Prophet ﷺ, in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Masud, لا يسرين على القرآن ذات الليلة فلا يترك الآية في مصحف ولا في قلب أحد إلا رفعت. The Prophet ﷺ said in the Sunnah Darimi, he says, the Quran will be lifted. The Yusriyanna. Al-Isra is to do something, to travel at night, right? Like we were talking about Isra and Mi'raj in the Seerah of the Prophet ﷺ. Al-Isra is to do something at night. So Al-Isra, he said, La Yusriyanna al-Quran. He said, Ala al-Quran. The Quran will be lifted at night. This is going to happen in a night, during the night. That Laylatan فَلَا يَتْرُكُ الْآيَةِ, and no ayat will be left behind. Once the Quran is lifted, no ayat will be left behind, any Quran, and nobody will have anything in their hearts. It will be all forgotten. So there will be no more Quran. There will be no more Quran. So the Quran will be lifted at this time, no more Quran. And in a hadith of Anas radiallahu anhu, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا تقوم الساعة حتى لا يقال في الأرض الله الله. He says the time will not come until in the earth there will be nobody in the earth saying Allah, Allah. So this is after Isa alayhi salam. When Isa comes, there's going to be peace for about 7 years. There's going to be peace for about 7 years, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send a rih, a pleasant wind, right? As the Prophet ﷺ said, إنه سيكون من ذلك ما يشاء الله ثم يبث الله ريحا طيبا فتوفى كل من في قلبه مثقال حبة خردل من إيمان. He says at this time when Isa alayhi salam died, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to send a pleasant wind from the Sham area, a cold pleasant wind from the Sham area, and it's going to kill all the believers, all the Muslims. A person who has the slightest iman in him, the size of a mustard seed, will die. So this time Allah is going to send a wind and He's going to take up all the Muslims. Any person that believes in Allah, he's going to die. And then in the earth, as the Prophet ﷺ said, there's only shirar an-nas, the worst of people. The worst of people. Nobody will be on earth except the worst of people. All they will do is kill people. All they will do is sex and things like this. And this is when the hour is going to come. So when then the trumpet is going to be blown on these people. And then there's the day of judgment. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to remove every Muslim on this earth by sending a wind, and it's going to take them from their armpits. Abatihim, as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, it's going to take them from his armpits, and then they're going to die. And only people are left are the bad people. So this is why the Kaaba is destroyed. There's no reason for the Kaaba anymore, because it's only bad people. And there's no reason for the Quran to be here anymore, because there's only bad people left. Allah has taken all the believers. So this is the ulama says there's no reason for the Kaaba to be here, because all the bad people are only bad people are left. And that at that time it's going to be chaotic, killing, raping, sex, drinking, whatever all the bad people they're going to be doing. The worst people, shirar an-nas, the worst of worst. There's no people worse than this group. And because nobody is going to command the good or forbid the evil. Everything is evil now. Because only that time. So this is why they were able to destroy the Kaaba. This group from Habasha will be able to destroy the Kaaba. And this is why the Quran was lifted of the Kaaba. So this is, these are some of the signs of the Day of Judgment. There's more, but I just wanted to pick up, the important ones. So we will continue on the signs. One of another signs, the small signs of the Day of Judgment, is the Malahim. The Malahim is the big war that's coming. It could be in our time. It's very close. We had World War I, World War III. The Malahim could be World War III. World War I, World War II passed. The Malahim could be World War III. And this is when the destruction of the earth is going to be. Right now you have all these people who has nuclear weapons and this and that, and everybody is getting ready for this World War III. This may be called the Malahim. Allah knows best. But this, hopefully the next time we're going to talk about the Malahim. And another sign, the small sign, is the Mahdi. We will get in the Mahdi, if we can get it into next week, we will, or the next lesson. And then that's when we will start the major signs after that. The major signs, inshallah, we will start the major signs of the Day of Judgment. Allahu ta'ala a'lam, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ala nabiyyina Muhammad, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.